Excuse me. So I was saying that essentially this the discovery of this moral principle essentially teaches us that the universal computational consciousness principle is leading the universe towards a perfected state. And really, when we so another principle, another discovery, major discovery made by this new God's physics paradigm is the understanding that just as an architect would construct a palace with a blueprint in mind or on paper, and that blueprint is necessary, describing all the stages of the construction of this immaculate palace before any execution of that architectural blueprint, any execution in terms of construction, etc., would take place. In the same manner, the universal consciousness principle or computational principle, the UCP, has to compute from the beginning. It's computing the end ultimate goal of the whole progression of the universe's evolution. So the goal, the ultimate goal of the universe's creation, dissolution, because between one frame and another, the whole universe dissolves back into this universal computational / consciousness principle. So the whole evolution of the universe from the beginning frames or initial stages of the universe until the end result, the goal of the whole universe's evolution, which is what I call the perfected Geula state goal. And that perfected Geula goal, Geula is a term taken from the Jewish Hasidic tradition, but in any event, it represents or signifies a perfected moral, spiritual, and even physical state of humanity and of the world. So the assumption is, the postulate is, I call it the reverse time Geula goal hypothesis or postulate, that really the universal computational principle or consciousness principle computes everything from the end, from the Geula, from the perfected state of the world and humanity, from the end to the beginning. So in other words, the whole progression of the evolution of the universe from the initial stages of matter, inanimate matter, animate plants, animals, human beings, and then towards the perfected state of humanity, which science is now actually leading humanity to discovering. That perfected state of humanity is signified by the realization that there is only one singular higher order reality, which is this universal consciousness reality. In religious terms, we would call it God. But the ultimate goal of the universe is humanity reaching that perfected Geula goal state, in which humanity, science and humanity, would realize and recognize the singularity of this universal conscious reality, which is signified by all goodness, by morality, by peace, by harmony. And so the whole idea now, there is a unification between the various subdisciplines of science. It's not biology apart from physics and psychology and even spirituality. They're all combined because there is a plan, a pre-planned program of the universal conscious reality to evolve the universe from the initial stages of inanimate matter, animate plants, animals, human beings, and towards this perfected Geula state. And the exciting part is that now, and this is also why I'm calling all those bold and courageous astronomers, cosmologists, experimental physicists to collaborate with me in validating this new God's physics paradigm, and essentially to have the courage to discover truth, just as, or pursue the discovery of truth, just as Einstein and Eddington and some other great scientists have done, despite all odds, despite the discomfort of going against the mainstream, despite the fear of challenging some of the old assumptions. You know that biographers of Einstein claim, not one or two, claim that his courageousness and non-conformic way of thinking, his independent thinking, his courage to challenge the norms, to look outside and think outside the box, is what allowed him, rather than some of his contemporaries that also reached quite close to the discovery of general relativity theory but could not do that final leap. And that final leap was associated with the willingness to challenge and to question the old paradigm. Newtonian mechanics in that case. Now, what we're standing at the brink of discovery of this new God's physics 21st century scientific paradigm, which essentially encourages us, scientists, experimental physicists, astronomers, to venture out and to go beyond the standard model of the old material causal paradigm, to venture out and reach that unknown territory of a new God's physics acausal computational paradigm. The thing is, though, as I've mentioned briefly, and I talked about it more extensively, I will speak about it in the future, but we can already see the promise, the great promise of this new God's physics paradigm, because it can unify, it's been shown to unify between relativity theory and quantum mechanics, unify the four basic physical features of space, time, energy, and mass, unify between the four basic forces of nature, and open our eyes and minds to a new reality. A new reality, in two words, is a reality in which this new universe is viewed not as a static material causal entity, as a solid material entity. The main difference between this new paradigm and the old paradigm is that this new paradigm discovers that the universe, you may say, does not exist as a solid reality. It's not cause and effect. And I mentioned in previous presentations that because this universal computational principle, or consciousness principle, UCP, computes all the spatial pixels of a frame of a reality of the universe for a trillionth of a second simultaneously, there cannot be any cause and effect either within the same frame or between subsequent frames. So we start, and furthermore, again, I elaborated on this because of the computational invariance principle and the universal consciousness principle, which I won't get into now, but I'll just say what the bottom line is. The bottom line is that these new postulates of this new God's physics paradigm tell us that the only thing that really exists continuously, constantly, and uniformly is this higher ordered singular universal computational / consciousness principle reality, UCP, whereas the whole universe, including space, time, energy, and mass, all the spatial pixels, all the atoms, everything in the universe exists only transiently during the frame, each subsequent frame, and is computed by this UCP, but doesn't exist independently. So we reach the inevitable conclusion, which is profound and a little bit shocking at the beginning, but it's opening tremendous possibilities for science and humanity, is that the universe is only a transient phenomenal appearance, manifestation of the real reality, which is this universal consciousness reality. So this universal consciousness reality, we're saying, has been pre-planned and pre-programmed, in a sense, the evolution of the universe from inanimate matter through animate plants, animals, human beings, towards the perfected Geula state, which science really, and this God's new physics paradigm, is in effect opening the door, is like at the brink of this new Geula goal state of the universe. It's a very exciting time, because once science actually verifies that there is this singular higher order universal consciousness principle, computational principle, UCP, that's the only reality that computes the whole universe in an extremely rapid series of frames, like the film frames, but it's a little bit different. But it computes the whole universe as a series of trillions of frames per second, universal frames. It evolves the universe from inanimate matter, animate plants, animals, human beings, and towards a perfected state. And we are now, and that's where again and again, we're in the first first day of Hanukkah, where Jewish people light one candle, and as we say, a small candle, one light, can disperse or can eliminate a whole darkness. And this is what's happening now in science. This is why I'm calling bold experimental physicists, astronomers, cosmologists, even theoretical physicists to join me and validate this new God's physics paradigm. Because first of all, science is stuck. Science is in a state which is similar to the state that it was 100 years ago when Einstein, the great Einstein, made the revolution or paradigmatic shift from the old Newtonian mechanics to the new relativity theory. And he did it in a way that is very reminiscent of what I'm trying to do and have actually accomplished initial validation for two critical predictions of this new God's physics paradigm. But I'm calling cosmologists, astronomers, experimental physicists, even theoretical physicists to join me, collaborate with me, and assist me in further validating this new reality, this new God's physics paradigm, which not only resolves the principal inconsistency between relativity theory and quantum mechanics and all the rest of the exciting things that I've been speaking about, but also opens a new, extremely promising, extremely hopeful future for science and for humanity. Because to the extent that further validations, this paradigm has already been validated, but to the extent that further validations would be supplied, we would stand at a point where science and humanity are entering an entirely new science and universe. The universe being a manifestation of this universal conscious reality. The universe being, in a sense, in a plan or in a program of moving the universe and humanity towards a perfected Geula state. The world is not functioning just by cause and effect. It's being governed, it's being watched over, it's being progressed, it's being animated, so to speak, by this singular higher order reality, which is typified by all goodness, by morality, by oneness, by peace, by striving to bring the universe to the Geula perfected state. So it's exciting. It's an exciting day and time. Again, my personal email is drbentwich, drbentwich @gmail.com, and I would be very glad to collaborate with those bold cosmologists, astronomers, experimental physicists, and theoretical physicists together to bring the complete validation and the complete acceptance of this new, very exciting and promising new scientific paradigm for 21st century physics, which is this God's physics or computational unified field theory. Thank you very much.